Hello, dear final year diploma students. Welcome again to MSBT e-content, which is an excellent initiative taken by the Maharashtra State Board of Technical Education Mumbai to facilitate online learning. This e-content is on the course Emerging Trends in Mechanical Engineering, having course code 22652. It is applicable for mechanical engineering and allied branches. I am Professor Ketan Karandikar from Mechanical Engineering Department of Myers MIT Polytechnic, Kothur, Pune. In this session, we are going to continue unit number 4, Energy Audit and Management. This is the course outcome. Use different standards for energy management and audit of a given system. This is the specific unit outcome 4C. Identify steps for conducting energy audit. In this session, we are going to focus on the topic 4.3.2, energy management, energy conservation, and energy audit instruments. So students, before starting with the agenda, I hope you have watched all the 4 videos prior to this video related to unit number 4. In this session, these are the key takeaways for you. We are going to understand the concept and goal of energy management as well as its stepwise procedure with an example. Then we are going to proceed further with the concept, approaches and objectives of energy conservation, followed by the major energy consuming assets in an industry and different opportunities to conserve energy in the same. We are going to also focus on the fuel cost, power cost and calculation of plant energy performance. We are going to look at the concepts of fuel substitution and energy substitution with examples. Finally, we are going to end this particular unit by understanding the different types of energy audit instruments with their applications. So students, we will start our session by understanding the concept of energy management. According to the German VDI guideline 4602, energy management is the proactive, organized and systematic coordination of procurement, conversion, distribution and use of energy to meet the requirements taking into account environmental and economic objectives. Now let me explain this in simple words for you. Energy management is nothing but conserving and optimizing the energy use for getting more production output from the same or less energy and saving money and making the processes more comfortable, healthy and safe. So ultimately students, the energy management will give a company more profit and safer as well as comfortable processes. In this slide, we will learn about the main objectives of energy management. Energy management aims at achieving and maintaining optimized energy procurement and utilization, minimizing the energy cost and wastages without compromising production and quality, as well as minimizing the damage to the environment, increasing the energy efficiency, reducing the carbon footprint, finding superior energy alternatives, and finally implementing different measures for energy saving or energy conservation. In this slide, we will learn about the energy management cycle. The energy management cycle, as shown in this image, consists of 4 steps. In step number 1, that is the data acquisition, energy data is acquired in an industry by using different energy audit instruments as well as the smart meters. In step number 2, that is the process optimization, energy saving opportunities are identified by conducting preliminary, detailed or targeted energy audits, energy balance as well as baseline energy modeling. In step number 3, that is optimization step, the energy saving solutions are developed and implemented by using project management and intervention tracking. In step number 4, the energy performance is continuously tracked and monitored by using energy management information systems, performance dashboards, and interactive reporting. The main aim of step number 4 is to maintain constant energy performance. In this slide, we will see the detailed process flow steps in energy management. In this particular example of penicillin G manufacturing, there are three different vestiges. First is the waste stream or mycelium. Second is the condensate drain. And third vestige is the steam leakage. The condensate drain takes place in the germinator, pre-fermenter, fermenter as well as extraction, whereas the steam leak takes place in the fermenter and the mycelium vestige takes place in the filter press as well as extraction. Hence, through the energy management, the major areas of energy conservation are the germinator, pre-fermenter, fermenter and extraction. In this, we will try to reduce these wastages by taking energy conservation measures. In this slide, we will learn about the concept of energy conservation. According to the definition, energy conservation is the focused approach to reduce energy consumption using the latest optimization tools. Energy conservation has two approaches. In the first approach, you can use energy more efficiently. This can be achieved by using a car with a highly efficient engine having minimum energy losses or wastages. In the second approach, we can reduce the amount of energy used itself. This can be achieved by driving a car for a less period of time or as and when necessary. Here are few of the objectives of energy conservation: to reduce the dependency on foreign countries for resources, to reduce energy requirement by demand side management, as well as minimize the carbon footprint and protect the environment and conserve our natural resources. As you can see in this logo of the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, that is the BEE, energy is life and hence we need to conserve it. In this slide, we will learn about the major energy consuming assets in any industry. According to the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, the equipment which consume maximum energy in any industry are the boilers, furnaces, compressors, HVAC, pumps, blowers and fans, electric motors, diesel gensets, lighting, process equipment as well as the cooling towers. Since all these equipment require maximum energy, there is a maximum potential of energy conservation. In the next slide, we will learn the different techniques about saving energy in all these equipment. In this slide, we are going to learn about the different energy conservation opportunities or different techniques of saving energy as suggested by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. In boilers, we can use the air preheater as well as economizer, minimize incomplete combustion, reduce excess air, as well as reduce the heat losses through proper insulation, using automatic blowdown control, and replacing the boilers after every 25 years of use. In furnaces, we can reduce excess air, distribute the heat properly by aligning the burners, minimize the heat losses through proper insulation, as well as using the waste heat recovery systems like the preheaters and recuperators. In compressed air systems, we can locate the suction duct outside the compressor house in a well ventilated area. We can use air filters, avoid location of compressors at high altitudes because the air pressure drops at high altitudes. We can also use the intercoolers between the compression stages, and we can fix the leakages and prevent the new leakages. Similarly, we can turn off the compressors when not in use. All these techniques will lead to maximum energy saving and increase in the profit of the industry. We can save energy in HVAC and chillers by making use of water-cooled condensers instead of air-cooled condensers. This is because the water-cooled condensers are more efficient and compact as compared to the air-cooled condensers. We can minimize the leakages and heat energy losses, use the building automation system and energy management system. For chillers, we can use the lowest temperature of condenser water available. We can use evaporative coolers in dry climates as well as minimize the fan speeds and regularly clean the fan and damper blades as well as the fins. We can also seal the leaky HVAC ductwork. Similarly, students, we can save energy in pumping system and electric motors by using all these measures. You can pause the video here for knowing all these energy saving techniques. In this slide, we can see the different energy conservation opportunities for diesel gensets, lighting, as well as cooling tower and its accessories. So students, you can pause the video here and have a look at these energy saving techniques in this particular equipment. In this slide, we will learn about the classification of energy conservation measures. The different categories of energy saving projects are listed here. Amongst these, the projects having low cost and high returns will be given the highest priority, whereas the projects having high cost and high return should be given the lowest priority. Similarly, these are the project priority guidelines in which the project number A is a good project because with respect to the economical feasibility, it is well defined and attractive. With respect to the technical feasibility, we are using the existing technology, and with respect to the risk, there is absolutely no risk. Similarly, the project number D is not a good project because it is clearly not attractive from the economical perspective. It requires a major breakthrough in the technology, which is not technically feasible, as well as it involves maximum risk. In this slide, we are going to learn the concept of energy cost. In simple words, energy cost is nothing but the amount which is spent on the use of different types of energy. Understanding this energy cost is very important because it creates awareness and helps us in calculating the savings. It is very important to note that many industries do not have meters to measure the energy. Hence, they depend upon the fuel and electricity invoices or the energy bills. There are two types of energy cost. First is the fuel cost and second is the power cost. The fuel cost is the amount which is spent on the use of different types of fuels like the LSHS, that is the low sulfur heavy stock fuel oil, the LDO, that is the light diesel oil, the LPG, that is liquefied petroleum gas, and fuels like coal, lignite, wood, etc. Various factors like price at source, transport charges, type of transport, quality of fuel, as well as the calorific value should be considered during the procurement or purchase of these fuels. Similarly, the power costs are nothing but costs which are incurred on the use of electricity. Various factors like maximum demand, energy charges, power factor, high tension and low tension tariff, as well as the category wise tariff and tariff for developed or underdeveloped areas should be considered for calculating the final cost of purchase electricity. In this slide, we will learn a very important concept of the energy performance. For calculating the plant energy performance, we require the production factor and the reference year equivalent. The production factor is the ratio of current year's production to the reference year's production, whereas the reference year equivalent energy use or reference year equivalent can be obtained by multiplying the reference year's energy use by the production factor. Now, the plant energy performance, which is the measure of whether a plant is now using more energy or less energy to manufacture its products than it did in the past. In simple words, the plant energy performance compares the energy performance of the plant in the current year with the previous reference year. It shows us whether the energy performance of the plant has improved or deteriorated as compared to the reference year. It indicates how well the energy management program is doing. The plant energy performance is expressed in percentage. It can be calculated by using the formula reference year equivalent minus current year's energy divided by the reference year equivalent into 100. In this slide, we'll learn the concepts of fuel and energy substitution. The concept of fuel substitution is nothing but substituting an existing fossil fuel with a more efficient and less cost or a less polluting fuel. For example, we can substitute the soft coke with kerosene and LPG. The coal can be substituted by the agricultural residues like coconut shell, rice husk, and biomass briquette. Similarly, light diesel oil can be substituted by the low sulfur heavy stock fuel oil. The fuel substitution is implemented in all the major sectors of the Indian industry. Similarly, the energy substitution is nothing but substituting an existing type of energy with a better alternative. For example, we can substitute the oil and gas with the solar, wind, or nuclear energy. The electrical heaters can be substituted by the steam heaters, and the steam heaters can be substituted by solar water heaters. The main aim of energy substitution is to reduce the energy dependency and make the Indian economy self-sustaining. So students, as we have learnt in the previous video, a detailed energy audit involves the measurement of various parameters in an industry. These parameters can be classified into electrical and non-electrical. In the electrical parameters, we can measure the voltage, current, power factor, active power, apparent power, reactive power, energy consumption, as well as the frequency. In the non-electrical parameters, we can measure the temperature, radiation, air, gas and liquid flow, speed, air velocity, noise and vibration, dust concentration, total dissolved salts, pH, moisture content, relative humidity, as well as we can analyze the flue gas. In the next slide, we will learn the different energy audit instruments which can be used to measure all these parameters. From this slide onwards, we are going to learn about the different energy audit instruments which are required in phase 2 of the detailed energy audit for carrying out the various measurements. The first instrument is the tape measure, which is used to measure the dimensions of walls, ceilings and windows. The second instrument is the light meter or the lux meter, which is used to measure the illumination levels of the industrial facilities according to the predefined standards. The third instrument is the watt meter or the power factor meter. It is used to measure the power consumption and calculate the power factor of various electrical equipment. The fourth energy audit instrument is the combustion analyzer or the fire rate. It is used to measure the concentration of various gases like oxygen, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and sulfur oxides present in the flue gases generated during combustion. Next, you can see two types of thermometers. The contact thermometer is used to measure the temperature of hot air, hot water, or the hot flue gases by direct contact, whereas the infrared thermometer is used to measure the temperature of furnaces or any other hot surfaces from a long distance. The seventh energy audit instrument is the pitot tube and differential manometer. It is used to measure the air velocity and air pressure in ducts. Next one is the ultrasonic flow meter, which is a special type of non-contact flow meter, which is used to directly measure the flow rate of water and any other fluids. It has very high accuracy, and there are two types of the ultrasonic flow meter. First is the transit time and second is the Doppler effect. In an energy audit, to measure the speeds of rotary equipment like machine shafts, gearboxes, motors, rotors, fans, blowers and turbines, we use the different speed measurement instruments. For measuring the low speeds, we can use the contact type mechanical tachometers. For measuring the medium speeds, we can use the non-contact type laser tachometers. And for measuring the high speeds, for example, in a turbine, we can go for the non-contact type stroboscope. Also, to measure the speed of air, we can use the anemometer. The 10th energy audit instrument is the ultrasonic leak detector. It is used to detect the leaks of compressed air and other gases where it is not possible for the human beings to detect the same. The next instrument is the digital psychrometer used to measure the dry bulb temperature, wet bulb temperature, and relative humidity of atmospheric air in an industrial environment. The last instrument is the digital Bourdon tube pressure gauge, simply used to measure the pressures of liquids and gases. So students, to summarize, we learned the concept and goals of energy management along with an example, the concept, approaches and objectives of energy conservation, as well as the measure energy consuming assets and different techniques to conserve energy. We also learned the concepts of fuel cost, power cost and calculations for plant energy performance. In addition to this, we learned the concepts of fuel substitution, energy substitution, and different types of energy audit instruments with their applications. Now you can test yourself by attempting these 6 multiple choice questions. I also declare that unit number 4, energy audit and management, is completely over. You can revise all the 5 videos of this unit for a complete understanding of the entire unit. Thank you very much for your patient listening and wish you all the very best.